Hello, everyone. Thank you for watching KTK Plus. I'm your host, Tristen VanBeem, and the topic for today is how to stay safe while cooking delicious Thanksgiving meals and how to prevent a cooking fire in your kitchen. Joining me is Karen Holt, the Executive Director for the American Red Cross East Texas chapter. Karen, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Tristen. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for asking. I really appreciate that. And I just want to go ahead and kick off this interview by asking, how common are cooking fires in the United States, especially around this time of year?
Absolutely. So, nearly 20% more home fires happen during November and December. Typically, we will see an average of 40,000 people needing assistance during those 2 months alone due to a house fire. So, there is an extremely significant increase in home fires during the holiday season.
And with so many families cooking during Thanksgiving, what are the most common days that cooking fires start when prepping the meal? Is it on the big day of Thanksgiving or is it days before? How does that work?
Typically, for us, it starts the evening before Thanksgiving. Everybody's in the kitchen, they're prepping their turkeys, deep frying those turkeys, using their ovens, and then Thanksgiving Day. The same would go for Christmas Eve and Christmas Day.
All right, and as far as cooking goes, what are some safety tips that people at home can follow while their food is cooking?
Absolutely. So, of course, never leave anything unattended that you're cooking in the kitchen. That is critical. I always tell folks, use that timer. Use that timer on your Google or your Amazon Echo. Set those timers. You're so busy during the holiday season, and you have lots of guests and you have things multiple things going on top of the stove, in the stove. And so just ensure that you're staying close, you're setting those timers. Also, if you're doing those great deep fried turkeys, do that outside, at least 20 feet away from your home. Don't try to do that in your house. Like I said, it's a critical time because there are so many home fires, and it is directly related to cooking.
And then what kind of clothing should people wear whenever they are cooking since there are a lot of hot things around? Should they, try to wear something tighter or what does that look like?
Yeah, no loose clothing. I always recommend that you wear something tight, fitted, long sleeve. Particularly if you are doing the frying, you want to protect your skin in case there is some backsplash. But yes, never have loose clothing. Never keep. One of the most common is throwing that hand towel or that kitchen rag too close to a burner, and then that sparks the fire outside of the grease. That's one of the common things. And so we also, outside of that, ensure that you have working smoke alarms. That is a huge, huge deterrent. That lets you know that there is smoke in your house. It also saves lives. At the American Red Cross, we do provide anybody in the community with smoke alarms and smoke detectors. So if you do not have those, that's a critical component. Make sure that you have good working smoke detectors in your home. And then the other piece of that is really just ensure that you're being mindful of the surroundings and you're not trying to cook too much at one time.
All right, and I know that there's a lot of people with big families out there, especially a lot of children and pets. Is it best to keep them out of the kitchen around this time? Can it be dangerous for them or just for the entire family in general?
No, I would say kids and pets, absolutely. I'm sure we've all heard our mom, get out of the kitchen,
Right.
from one time or another. And it really is a safety, issue. Small children not realizing can pull some, grease, boiling water. Not only does it protect them and their well-being, but it also can prevent a fire as well.
And then what are some tips for cleaning up after? How long should someone wait for the cooking ware to cool off before washing it just to prevent, steam or something like that?
Sure. We always say, particularly with grease, always. Sometimes you should wait at least 2 to 4 hours. Ensure that that has cooled down. You never, of course, want to dispose of grease in your sink or anything like that. That can cause a backsplash and cause injury. But just being mindful of that, make sure that you let that cool down. Also, something else that can play a factor. A lot of the home fires that we have during this time of year is again due to things being left on the stove or in the oven unattended. But also it's the misuse of electrical outlets.
Okay.
We are all using those crock pots and we're overloading the circuits. So just be mindful that you're not overloading those outlets, that you have surge protectors if you do have a lot of additional things going on that you have plugged in. And of course, we're Thanksgiving is coming up, but looking ahead to Christmas, that's something too to keep in mind. We're going to be using a lot more extension cords and plugging in a lot of additional things, and that also potentially causes home fires. And so just be mindful that you're utilizing your outlets in the correct way.
Now, I like that you brought up actually using your outlets in a correct way and just try not to overheat them or anything. And that reminds me, should you keep a fire extinguisher handy? And where's a good spot in the kitchen for it?
Absolutely. So everybody should have a fire extinguisher in their kitchen, and then in another part of the house, like in the opposite end, have one in each end of the house. But particularly for the kitchen, you want to have it very handy, close to the stove. I always say keep it right in the front under your kitchen sink so it's easily able to grab that and utilize it. Fire extinguishers, along with the smoke alarms, are really critical for every homeowner, really anyone to have in their home.
And then I'm sure those who have cooked at home before, especially all this food that's going to be cooked at Thanksgiving, what are some proper ventilating techniques in case the house starts to get too smoky or in that kind of situation?
Sure. So, I mean, of course, we hope that everyone has a vent-a-hood and proper ventilation. But if, sometimes we overload that when we're cooking multiple things. So I always suggest, opening 2 doors so you have a draft so you can pull that out. We've all set off a smoke alarm a time or two
That's very true.
with things. But yeah, just again, but I go back to that should never be an issue if you were well attending your Thanksgiving cooking extravaganza. So that really is the most critical part is, use common sense and be present in the kitchen when you are cooking. Even if you are cooking that Thanksgiving turkey and you're baking it in your oven and you think, oh, well, I'm just going to bake this overnight. Do not do that. Just get up early the next morning. Do not leave anything unattended, even in the oven.
And now we've gone over how to stay safe during cooking, we should probably go over about after cooking. Do you think that viewers at home should do a double check of their kitchen before heading to bed just to make sure that the appliances are turned off? And, how would they go about that and do kind of a checklist of make sure they turn all that stuff off?
Sure. I mean, again, if you're using your stove, make sure that that is off. Some of our stoves, have light indicators that show that things are still hot, but you can't always trust that. So, just ensure that all of your knobs are off and your oven is off, all of your burners. Double check that. If you use gas, make sure that you have your gas pilot lights off and turn those off because that can be an unsafe thing. If you're using a crock pot, make sure that not just turned off to the off mode, but make sure they're unplugged from the wall. That's really important too. Because if there is a shortage in that small appliance, it can reach your outlets and can definitely cause a home fire, and we can see that quite frequently. Now, of course, something we haven't talked about because it's 80 degrees in East Texas during November, but also a contributing factor during the holidays is the weather.
Okay.
We're going to get cold weather, and that also contributes to home fires during the holidays because people pull out those space heaters.
Right.
They get cold. They're turning on their heaters for the first time. And so ensuring that you have had your heating units appropriately serviced on a regular basis, changing those filters. If you are utilizing a plug-in space heater, it is not next to curtains, drapery. You keep it at least 2 feet away from anything to heat your home.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Karen, for all that great advice. I really appreciate you coming on the show and sharing it with all of our viewers at home as well.
Thank you so much for having me. Everyone stay safe this holiday season. And remember, if you don't have working smoke alarms, you always can call the American Red Cross and we'll be there.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.